4-hour days? Where is that happening at? Like, oh, I went into the office for like 2 hours. I don't know the lives these people are living, but people glamorize. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nakya, and today's video we are going to be talking about the work-life balance of a data analyst, what's expected and what is reality. So today's video comes from an Instagram story that I posted last Tuesday, and in the caption I put like work-life balance, work plus work calls during an appointment in that story, and I received a DM from one of you guys saying, hey, have you spoken about work-life balance on your YouTube channel? Which I don't believe I have. Correct me if you know I'm wrong, but I don't believe that I have discussed work-life balance as a data analyst. And the person stated that they are currently studying to become a data analyst, and that they thought I'd be working 4-hour days, and that 4-hour days are less than 40 hours a week, and the rest of the time is my personal time. And they're like, but I see you are working like a regular 9 to 5. Y'all, when I saw that message, I was like, 4-hour days? Where is that happening at? Like, first of all, I feel like that is probably not the norm for a data analyst to work 4-hour days. Yes, I am a full-time employee. I work 40 hours a week. One, I do want to just clarify, like, for my background, I am a data analyst. I am a full-time employee, and at my company, full-time is considered 40 hours a week. Salaried or non-salaried, 40 hours a week is considered full-time at my company. And I am not salaried, just so everyone's aware. So if I work over 40 hours a week, I am paid overtime because I'm not salaried, and that is by choice. Like, I've been in a position with this company where I was in a salaried role. I did not make as much as I make currently, and I worked more hours than I work currently. So I'm sure that can vary depending on what company you work for, but 4 hours is not something I've ever heard of, even talking to other people in other industries that are like, or in other companies that are also kind of in this field. 40 hours, about 40 hours seems to be the norm. Like, in general, over 32 hours is considered full-time employment. What your company requires, again, that can vary from company to company, but I feel like 40 hours is pretty typical work hours for a data analyst. Now, I put a poll up to ask people, okay, if you work in tech, you're a data analyst, a software engineer, data engineer, how many hours a day do you feel like you work? And I feel like people didn't understand the question, because I had people putting in like 4 to 6 hours, and then they would DM me saying, actually, I think that's my average, but I don't consider meetings. Well, at least where I work, if you are in meetings are still considered work time. So if you're taking a work call, that's something you're being paid to do. That is work time. And for me, like, work-life balance, that means that I don't have to prioritize work over my personal life. I get to choose my schedule, for one. I'm not bound to, oh, me and a whole bunch of other employees, I have to work whatever hours management gives me. That's not the case. I get to pick my schedule. So during the summer, I've been working like 6 to 3 because it worked better for my life during the summer. So I have the flexibility to adjust my schedule as I see fit. For that day last Tuesday, I had an appointment that was kind of in the middle of the day, but there was a work call for a new project that I needed to be on. I needed to listen to what was going on, because a lot of times people don't take good notes and people don't record these calls. So I needed to be on that call, and it wasn't even recorded. So I'm glad I made the decision to join that call, but it was during an appointment. So I had to listen in, like, while I was driving to this appointment. While I was actually at the appointment, I had earbuds in. So I was listening to what was going on the call, and that is still considered work time for me at my company, if that makes sense. Like, I am taking a working call, but also handling my personal life at the same time. So that may not seem like balance to some people, but to me, it just means that work doesn't have to interrupt my everyday life, where I have to schedule. I was in a position where I had to schedule the time that I wanted to take off for the year prior. For example, November, December of 2023, I would have had to plan out my entire time off timeline for 2024. Like, I was in positions where I had to do that, you know, and now I don't have to do that. Like, I don't have to get anyone's approval to take time off. Like, if I want to take a half day and go out with my friends, I can do that. You know, like I just send an invite to everyone on my team. That's one thing we do as a team, because we're on a team of 4. So we try to be considerate of others, and everyone's not all, like, I think it's more than 2 people cannot be off on the same day. And then we also are considerate of working hours as well. Like, I'm on the East Coast, so my working hours is going to be different from someone that's like on Central Time or Mountain Time. Like, that's just going to be a given, but we do try to be considerate of other people's working hours. But it's not like it's a requirement that I have to be off on the day where everyone else is working. You know, like, I take my time off as I see fit. Like, if I need to take next week off, I just send an email to everyone, I'm gonna be out next week, and that's that. Like, no questions asked. You know, the only thing is like to just set up your out of office plan, let other people know, and have people back you up if something comes up, and prep them for that. But outside of that, I get to still have a personal life. Although I have to work 40 hours a week. Well, let me just say this. Yes, I have to work 40 hours a week because that's my company requirement. That may not be everyone's company requirement. Got it. But I don't feel like 4 hours or less is the norm for a data analyst because of the workload that we have. I feel like 35 to 40 hours a week is probably pretty standard as a data analyst. And I feel like this may be stemming from social media, where people glamorize being a data analyst or a data scientist, where they're like, oh, I went into the office for like 2 hours, and then I went to the gym, and then I went to the pool, and then I went to a club with my friends. And it's like, really? They're only paying you as like a salaried employee possibly to work 2 hours? That just doesn't seem realistic for what most of us are out here doing. So don't be blinded by what you see people glamorizing on social media, because that's typically not the case for most of us out here, you know? And for salaried employees at my company, although full-time is still considered 40 hours, I do understand there's expectations, okay? With salaried employees, you're not held to a certain amount of hours. That's just how it is. Like, you can work 10 hours, you can work 50 hours, and you're going to be paid the same amount. Whatever you work, you get paid the same amount. That's what it means to be salaried. But I feel like for salaried employees, there is still an expectation to maintain a full-time schedule. So take with that as you will, but I feel like some people may be taking advantage of that. They're like, because I'm not going to be paid more than this, I'm not going to work more than this. I don't know if that's the case for everyone, but another part of the message was, what is the true work-life balance? Was this just a dream that the tech industry sold us? So I don't want to say that it was a dream. I think it is company dependent, but I feel like these may be some of like the top tech companies like Apple, like Meta, like some of those companies that may give their employees a bit more flexibility, but understand it's harder to get hired by those companies. Number one, and they do offer a lot of perks because they know they are hiring the best of the best out there. So they may have these additional perks for their employees, and they may push them, like you mentioned, like, oh, they push them to, you know, not work over 4 hours and to have like a good work balance, and that they're going to therapy and doing all these other things. My company has never been like, oh, you should take the rest of the day off and go to therapy, or we have on-site therapy. They don't have on-site therapy where I work, okay? They don't. They're not telling me don't work any more than 4 hours. But I do have a good manager, and I will say that, like, I've had luck with having really good managers at this company, that they will see that I'm at my breaking point. I know that, like, one of my first manager, when I got into here, because I had no experience being a data analyst, so I was beating my head on the table trying to figure this code out, and he was like, Nakya, you need to go take a walk, or you need to take the rest of the day off. Come back at it tomorrow. But outside of that, like, having a good leader, is that like a company policy? No, absolutely not. Does burnout happen? Yes, absolutely. I will say, especially for me, and it's not the workload, it's the people. Okay? People will push you to your breaking point because you have clients and stakeholders that have unrealistic expectations. They don't know what they want. They are messaging you multiple times and at different hours of the day for different things, and expect you to, you know, log on and get their requests done. Like, you can have people that are messaging you at the end of your day, and they're like, oh, I need X, Y, and Z. And for me, I just know that I'm going to shorten work another day because of that. And that's kind of like that work-life balance. I'm choosing to work a 9-10 hour day today, the next day it may be a 4 or 6 hour day. That's just the nature of the job for me, because I am hourly. Whereas other people on my team, other managers, they work more than 40 hours. Like, I remember someone on my team came in at 6 a.m. We both walked out the building at 3. She was still working until 9 o'clock when she got home. She's a manager though. She is salaried. There is no limit to how many hours you will work. So as far as what's the true work-life balance, I'll say for me, my motto when it comes to work-life balance is that don't work too much and that work can wait. Because I get to still have a life outside of this. Like, you see me, I have my YouTube channel. I got to do school, which is off business hours. I still hang out with friends sometimes. I go see my family every once in a while, but I probably don't see my family as much as I should because I don't like to drive, y'all. I'm lazy. And I want to know from you guys, like, if you are a data analyst or you work in tech, you're a data engineer, because like my experience, I'm not trying to speak for everyone, but I want to know from you guys, like, so we can help this person out and also be aware from other people's perspectives. What is your average work hour? So is there an expectation that you work 8 hours a day, even though you may only feel like you're working for like getting like real work done 4 to 6 hours a day? Is there an expectation that you're not expected to work 8-hour days? Like, you can work how many hours you want to and you're still salaried, and that's what it is, Let us know, because I don't want it to be like, oh, there's an expectation of only working 4-hour days and then like you get to go to the gym and go out to lunch and go and do all these things. Yeah, that especially when you're in the office. Oh no. Like, they have a gym at the office, yes. Am I going to the gym at the office in the middle of the day and then going back to work? Absolutely not. Like, I don't know about y'all, but when I go to the gym, I'm sweaty. My hair is, I gotta wash my hair. I can't. Like, I don't know the lives these people are living, but that's not me. But this person said that they saw this online on someone's video. So if y'all know of the video where this person said they work 4 hours as a data analyst or in tech or something like that, and that's it. Where do they work? Do they work at Apple, Facebook, Meta, something like that? Because I know those are Fortune 500 companies, and I work for a Fortune 500 company, and the expectation is 40 hours. But anyways, I don't have to prioritize my work before my personal life, like before my health, before doing what it is that's going to be best for me. Like, I know that there are people that I'm friends with where I'm like, hey, let's take the morning off and go grab coffee or something before. And they're like, no, I have to work. I didn't plan this time off, so I can't take it off. With me, if I need to take time off in the mornings to handle personal business, I can do that. Like, I don't have to schedule my appointments around my work, if that makes sense. I'm not necessarily making sure that my appointments are after work, if that makes sense, so that it doesn't interrupt my work schedule. I take what appointments they have available, and that's what I do. Like, if I have an appointment at 9 a.m. and my schedule starts at 7:30 a.m., guess what? Nakia is going to be leaving at 9 to go to that appointment. It can interrupt my work schedule and I can go to it and have life. If you have kids and you need to make your schedule work around your kids' schedule, you can do that. There's people that are like, I, as a parent, want to be there to drop my kids off at school and pick them up from school in the afternoon because I prioritize my family life. Guess what? They flex their schedules to accommodate them being able to take their kids to school in the morning and pick them up in the afternoons, because they have that work-life balance and flexibility within the company to do that in this role. Now, all roles within this company may not have that. Like, if you are someone that is customer facing, so let's say, for example, you work at a Target store and you work customer facing, like you are helping customers, that's not necessarily something I would see like they're like, oh yeah, go leave for 2 hours in the middle of the day and then come back. I don't know Target's policies or anything like that, but I feel like if you're in a job where you're customer facing, that's probably not as likely to happen versus me. I have an office job. Like, ain't nobody coming to see me. So I can take the time off and adjust my schedule as I see fit. So that's just what it means for me. But also, I know that with the flexibility that I have to prioritize my personal life, I do also know that there are times where work becomes a priority where work will interrupt my personal life. There was a time I posted where I was off at, like, I got off 3 p.m. and I was out going to Starbucks to get coffee. And my manager called me, Nakya, I need help with XYZ. And she's like, are you at your computer? No, I'll be back in about 15 minutes though. So after I finished my full 8-hour workday, I came back to help her out and pull some numbers and get some data together, because guess what? Our senior executives, they were having a 6 p.m. call. So she needed this data together for a deck for that call. So I understand that, you know, it's kind of like a push-pull kind of thing. Like, I understand that I have to give a little. I get it. Like, it's kind of like a balancing act. Like, I'm not required to log on and do any work, but I also know, like, hey, I can adjust my time as I need to. So that's it. That's kind of like what work-life balance is for me, what the expectations are for me as someone that's a full-time employee that is not salaried. So I'd like to know your feedback. If you are a data analyst, a data scientist, a data engineer, a software engineer, or you work in tech, how many hours a day on average do you feel like you work? And work doesn't include like work calls and conference calls, all of those things, like including all of that, not just actual work that you're getting done. How many hours a day on average do you work? And what are the expectations that you're expected to work? Because I feel like some people, they may truly be like, I only work 6 hours a day, even though I'm expected to work 8. So I want to go based on how many hours are you expected or contracted or whatever the case may be, expected to work, and what you actually feel like you work on average. So leave that down in the comment section below. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and leave that as well. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.
I belong to you. I belong to you.